when having many friends causes problems. Should we have one friend or many? In English language, there are several proverbs about friendship. One of them says, "Be slow in choosing a friend, slower in changing him." It is a wise advice. It teaches us to be careful in making friends, but it deals only with our wellness. It says nothing about our duty towards a friend. But the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24, "A man that has friends must shew himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother." King James Version. The first part of this verse describes how a person must treat his own friends. I think everyone who loses friends by his own careless attitude will agree with this saying. But we should know and remember that every translation is an interpretation of an original statement. Let us see what is written in the original Hebrew text of the proverb. The literal rendering would be, "A man of many friends is for ruining himself, and there is a loving one who is more attached than a brother." This presents contrast. On one side, a person who has many friends ruins or may ruin himself. On the other side, a person may have a friend who truly loves him and is very close and faithful to him. The Bible itself gives examples for both cases. Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, illustrates a person who ruins himself. When he became a king after his father, he faced a crisis. Jeroboam, the fugitive servant of Solomon, and the whole nation of Israel asked Rehoboam to make their yoke lighter. At first, the young king consulted with the old man that stood before Solomon, his father, while he yet lived. 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 6. They wisely advised him to consent to the people's request, but he didn't follow this advice and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him and which stood before him. Verse 8. These young men may be considered as the friends of Rehoboam, and he indeed had many friends. They foolishly advised him to make the yoke of the nation much heavier, and he followed their advice. This led to separation of 10 tribes and even threatened Rehoboam with death when he tried to gather tribute from 10 tribes. So, by having many foolish friends, he, in some sense, ruined himself and his own kingdom. The friendship between David and Jonathan illustrates the second part of the proverb. The Bible says that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. The 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 1. When jealousy of Saul caused them to be separated, they wept one with another until David exceeded. 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 41. And when Jonathan died, David even said, "I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women." 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 26. Jonathan indeed was a loving one, who was more attached to David than his own brothers. I think what I have presented not only teaches us a practical lesson, but it also shows us how the principle the Bible interprets itself works. So let's choose friends carefully, and let's not try to make many friends who may ruin us. It is better to have an only friend who is really attached to us.